Welcome to the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller on Tuesday, May 23rd. I think at this point in the podcast, I think that we won't take a lot of your time today because we covered so much yesterday. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to get on our radar. The exact aspect that comes under the midnight to midnight sky, at least in the eastern part of the United States, as we mentioned yesterday, has already happened at 1:12 this morning. Mars squared Jupiter. Because Mars and Pluto are opposite each other, that means that Pluto is in the neighborhood of squaring Jupiter, which it did last week. So it's moving away, but the Mars exact is today. But the other thing I'd like to point out is up there in the umbrella, as we referenced yesterday, if you've got your chart still set as the bowl is in the daytime hours, so Mars is over at the ascendant, Pluto is over at the descendant, basically. And you'll notice that Mercury is starting to close in on Uranus. Now, do you think that Mercury has forgotten in just a week's time what it did to us for 3 weeks while it was in retrograde recently? No. So what kind of orb do you prefer? It's within 10. It's at 9 degrees today. And it's got a little time to be naughty because the exact aspect on that won't be until Sunday, June 4th. That's a little bit ominous for my blood with the two tricksters so close together. Yes, they get that way every 88 days, but it is something to keep an eye on in context of this sky. And by the way, have you looked at where Taurus is in your own chart? Because that's where a lot of this action is. And move over one house at a time on either side, 1, 2, 3, and then you have covered the bowl in your own chart. So what do we look for there with Mercury closing in on Uranus? Sudden surprises. Be careful with communication. You know, this was interesting. Sunday ago, somebody from an astrological organization, that's all I'm going to say, sent me an email about some business that was going on. And how it landed, that was Mother's Day. And my mom, it was 10 years ago that she transitioned. So it was an emotional Mother's Day around that. And then this message came in. It was terse. It was authoritarian of a sense, kind of commanding to do something. And it landed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Mother's Day. And remember, that was the last day of Mercury retrograde. So it was sent almost 12 hours before Mercury went out. So that means Mercury in retrograde was at its peak. Now, I'm sorry, but what is somebody from an astrology organization doing, sending something on Mercury retrograde like that could be misconstrued? And it was. I kind of put my Scorpio tail up and snapped back a little bit, and I think rightfully so. I was diplomatic. I reread the email about 10 or 15 times, and I wrote it after Mercury had turned direct on purpose. And my Aquarius don't tell me what to do came through, and I didn't do what they wanted me to do. So there you go. That's what's coming up here. That's what I see here. Mercury is not out of the shadow period until May 31st. So it's looking over there at Uranus saying, let's party, man. Let's party. And this is one of those things that for those of us on the road, I am traveling today. This is day with daughter number 2 for me, so I'm excited about that. But for those of us traveling, see, there is another thing about being very careful. So I've been on this trip putting covering around myself very carefully, making sure that before I drive anywhere, just the whole process, I'm just making sure that I am very intentional about protecting and intending and putting a covering around and the white bubble and everything else. This is a good reminder why. Transportation. All things transportation are Mercury. There's one other today that we probably should at least mention here, and that is the moon squares Chiron this morning at 11:35. That would tie back into all of that karmic stuff from yesterday. I mean, it's not out of the woods that stuff could pop up for any of us out of nowhere, and it's just the universe saying, don't think that this is not an onion that continually needs to be peeled. We are always doing the work. Well, there's another one, too, with the moon on just a really fast, quick passing transit is going to square off with Chiron. So if later this morning something pops up, you'll know where it came from. Have a great Tuesday. I'll see you back tomorrow for a hump day, and we've got the moon entering Leo tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.